Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are building legs for my solar panels so that I can easily stand them up while we're camping and position them to follow the sun throughout the day, and they'll collapse down really nice and level with the panel, so they don't take up any space. Also made out of aluminum, so they're lightweight. So this is the basic design right here. It's on a Renogy panel. This is one of their 100 watt panels here. It's all made out of angle aluminum. It is, what actually is this aluminum? So it is 3/4 by 3/4 by 3/32, is what that's saying right there. 3/32 angle aluminum. And so being aluminum, and that I do not have a spool gun for my router, I forget, I've been at work working on rotors for all week, so got them on the brain. But anyways, I don't have a spool gun for my welder, so I am pop riveting them together on their joints. So pop rivet, pop rivet, pop rivet. You know, and then the same on the other side. This is the main design. I stole the design off of a Coleman panel that I have right there. So this one's got the same idea, except this is all stamped tin, right? But I basically just ripping off that design and making it out of angle aluminum. So it works nice. It's sturdy. Putting in these supports, before I put it in these supports, it would lean side to side really hard, like really easy, I guess. Putting in these supports right here took that right out. They will not fall that way. And I made them so that when these legs are at a 90-degree angle with the panel, that the panel will be at least close to 35 degrees angle from horizontal. That is optimal angle for 2 of our camping months up where I am. I'm up north quite a ways. We're like up in Canada. And then for between those 2 months, there's 1 month where a lesser angle would be better. And then the months outside of those 3 months, you always want a sharper angle because the sun's starting to head down, you know, farther south, right? So by basically making it like that, is I can put this leg straight up and down for a much steeper angle, or I can lean it way back and shallow it out, and it will brace on these cutouts. And so that's shallowed right out. That's basically the shallowest angle I can get right there. Hopefully that shows up well. Yeah, right there. So that's the shallowest angle. And then I can put it basically vertical, and that will get me my steepest angle from horizontal. And so I can basically, you know, cater it to time of year that we're out camping, and get the best sun exposure there. And then, you know, again, being mobile is we can chase the sun across the horizon, so that helps us out big time too. So anyways, I am going to tear this one off. I actually have 2 more of these Renogy panels that are the exact same size, physical size. So I'm just going to use this one to template. I will run you through the process of actually making this, and I'm just going to do it off this being as a template. And then I do have to make a 4th leg, or a set of legs for a 4th panel. This is a Noma panel that I have. It's electrically it's the same as the Renogy panels. It's, you know, got all the same electrical characteristics, 100 watt panel, 18 volt, blah blah blah. But it is physically different dimensions. It's wider and shorter. So I'm gonna have to remake the plan specifically for that panel, which I'll just do off camera, because it's really not going to make any difference for you guys viewing. You're gonna have to, if you don't have this exact Renogy panel, you're gonna have to make those adjustments yourself anyways to suit your panels, if this is something that you want to look into doing. So I'll get out all the tools and everything that we need. I'll take this leg off of this panel for now, so that we can use it as a template, and we'll get on to this. Okay, so this is largely the tools you're going to need. So you need a drill. I found a jigsaw works really well for cutting the aluminum with a metal blade on it. You'll need something like a jigsaw or hacksaw or whatever to make some of the cutouts to fit around the aluminums, like to cut out little pieces, you know, like right here. But also if you had a miter saw, a chop saw with a metal blade to make the main cuts when you're cutting your lengths of aluminum, that would probably be the nicest and easiest, but I'm using a jigsaw to do that as well. For myself, I use a clamp to hold the metal in place as I'm cutting it, a right angle square, a file just to file down the sharp edges. The pliers are for myself, something you may not need. It's my rivet gun likes to hold on to the rivets pretty good, like the broken ends, so I end up using the pliers to pull them out. You need a bucket of rivets, a pencil to mark your marks, obviously. A brush is a nice thing to have, just clean off your workbench every now and then, get rid of all the little shavings. And then a assortment of drill bits. You don't need something this extensive, but you know, like you need a smaller bit. Like I've been using a 3/32 to drill all my pilot holes. Then I've been using a the 3/16 is the right size for the rivets I've been using. I need the I believe it's the 11/64 for the number 8 machine screws that I'm using. And that's about it. I did also, the screws that I had were a tapered head, so I did use a couple of various bits to try to countersink them right here. But now that I gotta go and buy different screws, I think I'm just gonna buy ones that are flush mount. So like a round head with a flush backside to it, whatever you want to call that, I don't know. So that I don't have to bother with that countersinking stuff. I don't have a proper countersink bit. If you do, that would work really well. But yeah, and that's about it. And then obviously a pop rivet gun, which I have not brought out yet. So, and that's about it. Other than that, oh, and a tape measure, obviously, to make your measurements. So, other than that, that's it. So I'm gonna get onto this here. So that is the leg off of the panel right there. Oh, and then you also need a length of aluminum, obviously. These are 8-foot lengths, and I used exactly 8 feet. Well, actually, we're talking millimeters shy of 8 feet to make this this leg. So if you're working with the same dimensions, an 8-foot length will do the trick. So other than that, let's get on to building it. All right, so I just measured right off of my existing leg here, the length I need for the leg here first. And so I got my mark here. Hopefully it'll show up on camera right about there. Just off the workbench, obviously. I got a clamp holding this into place, and now we're just going to cut it off with the what do you call it? Jigsaw. And let's see here. Now we're just going to cut that with the jigsaw here. This is going to get noisy for a minute. It's hard because I'm going through the flat face when I start, so it's hard getting through the first part. It's actually a bit slow, and then all of a sudden it rips through like hot butter. Just nothing to it. So so that is vibrating the table like crazy, and that's probably no usable footage there. So let's do it this way. You're gonna stand up for me? Something like that. See if that helps. And I should probably put my glasses on so I can see that line. All right, so there's that piece. Now, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna use this piece to mark our next piece. So now we have two pieces the same length, right? We'll file off these ends because there are some sharp edges, and we'll carry on. We now have our 5 pieces cut out. So this is the one angled brace with the reliefs cut out of it. This is the other angled brace with the reliefs cut out of it. This is the cross piece that goes along the between, like, connects the two legs together with the reliefs cut out of it. And then the two legs and their reliefs cut out as well. So that's the 5 pieces that you need. If you're interested in dimensions, if you happen to be making the same ones I am, my legs are 22 inches. The cross member piece is 21 1/16 of an inch, and then the two angle braces are 15 inches, or this has got to be not, yeah, okay. I was measuring actually both pieces and they were off by an inch. So these are 15.5 inches each, which basically eats up your entire 8-foot length. So that's it there. Now what we got to do is drill all the mounting holes and the holes for the rivets, but we want to do that with the panel in place, so that when we drill our pilot holes for our pop rivets to go through, like right here, let's see if I can get this down here. So when we drill the pilot hole for this pop rivet through the brace and the leg, we also want to go all the way through, right through the panel frame, and that gives us our reference point for drilling the frame, so that the remainder of the pop rivet can actually sink into the frame. If you don't do that, these legs won't sit flush up against the frame of the solar panel. So you gotta drill larger holes through the panel frame for those to fit, and you gotta do that both sides. One up for this brace, and then one down here for the leg and the cross brace, and then they'll actually sit flush up against the panel frame. Otherwise they're gonna sit up on an angle a little bit, which isn't a big deal if you don't mind that, but I'd like to be able to, like, stack the panels or something, so I'd like them to be as flush as possible. So I'm gonna go grab the panel that this set of legs is gonna go to, and we are going to make them, basically assemble them. Before I do that, I'm actually going to use these new pieces that I just cut to template out for the third panel, for the third Renogy panel. It'll be a little easier to use these to template out rather than use an unassembled leg to template out. So I'm going to reuse these to template for the third panel, and then I can just go ahead and assemble the second and third panel all at the same time. All right, we're at the point of where we're going to be putting these together. I've cut all of the individual pieces for the other two panels. There's panel number 3 sitting there. It's now got proper screws in it. Went into town and grabbed some of those, and this is it here. This is where we're starting off at. So this piece with the cutout right here is going to be our pivot point, right about here, right in the center. And then this piece of what do you call it, cutout here, works as the hinge goes around. It actually butts up against the frame and prevents the leg from flopping all the way. Also, if you had that, then you would kind of bind up, like if you didn't cut this out, you'd kind of bind up right here if you'd left that all in, because your pivot point is up here, not right back here, right? So, you know, I basically wanted the legs to go at a 90-degree off this frame, so I just kind of held them up and roughed out where I would need to cut it, and that's how I came up with that. I'm sure there's much better ways of doing it and making it exact and stuff, but hey, it works. So right now basically I have this mounted here. I'm using, this is the 3/4 point from the bottom of the panel, or the 1/4 point from the top of the panel. So basically the panel is 22 inches long. This is 10.5 inches, or 42 inches long, sorry, not 22, 42 inches long. This is 10.5 inches. And then I'm putting the pivot point just ahead of that, basically. And these marks are, again, kind of arbitrary. I thought, well, 3/4 way up the panel, at least you won't be top heavy, and it would save some length in the leg by not putting it at the very top of the panel as well. And it just allows me to make sure I line up both legs to be at the same point on both sides of the panel. So I'm gonna drill this hole here, and we'll get this leg mounted, and then we'll do the same on the other side, and then we can put in our cross brace and then our ankle braces. Okay, I can't find my center punch, so I'm using a screw. Good thing aluminum's soft, and I'm just roughing where the center is so that we got a decent pivot point, and then give it a whack. Couple of simple whacks gives me my guide divot. There we go. All right, that is our pilot hole. All right, so our pilot hole was just a 3/32 bit, just a nice small bit. This one is 11/32 for the right size for a number 8 machine screw. All right, you guys kind of fell over there, but the hole got drilled. And then these are the screws, machine screws I'm using. Just a multi-style head. It takes a square Phillips, so Robertson, a Phillips, or a flat. Being Canadian, I like Robertson, and then a nylock style nut. And you need a locking style nut because you're not going to tighten this down tight. Otherwise the leg will not pivot. It won't work as a hinge. So you're relying on the nylon in the locking nut to keep the nut from backing off. So if I can find out where I am here. Okay. Just kind of hold this in place while I screw in the other end. Okay, that's tight. Back it off just a wee bit. Take the clamp off, and we have a functional leg. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, gonna do the same thing to this side, and then we'll carry on from there. Okay, we have our two legs mounted and they are in place. Now what we're going to do is put in our cross support. Now we do want this to be square, so kind of holding these in, and we're going to check to make sure that this is actually square, and that is not square. Right there. Here you need to be very careful because you are working at the back side of your panel, and you do not want to be damaging that and wrecking its power generating capability. Alright, we're nice and square there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this down here, and we're going to drill the pilot hole through here, all the way through, through all three pieces, including the frame of the panel itself, so that we have a good reference point as to where we need to drill the hole in the panel for the rivet to go through. So I'm going to hold this down, make sure it's still square, make sure we didn't knock it out, which it is. It's good. Okay, and then we're going to drill. Nice little pilot hole, and yeah, I think we're going to do it right about there. Uh-oh, my bit's not in straight. Give me a sec. There we go. The bit wasn't actually centered in the chuck, so now we need to do this all over again. Make sure we're squared. That's good and square. Right there. Just do it. Yeah, that's good right there. Okay, so we're going to drop a hole in this one. Right about there. You probably can't see that, my arm's in the way. Oh, and it walked on me after it went through the first part. I think we're okay. There we go. We should be through. Now we're gonna move our board over. We have a board here. I have the bit short enough the drill bit short enough in the chuck so that I go all the way through. I can't actually hit the panel. It's going to bottom out on the chuck before the bit ever hits the panel. But later on, we're not going to have that option with larger bits. Use a piece of wood to protect your panel. Okay, that is still squared there. Let's make sure we're still square. Yeah, that'll actually work. And it walked a bit on both sides, I guess. There we go, we got our pilot holes drilled. Now we can do our main holes. The hole size I need for the rivets is 3/16. So I've drilled them onto our cross support. Now I need to drill them through our leg and our frame. Don't really have to go through the frame because we're going to be going larger, but we're going to do it anyways. And like I say, make sure your board is there in place, protecting your panel. And light pressure going through will make it so that you can pull the drill up in time before you hit it anyways. But just in case, have that board there. All right, so do the other side. Now we can rivet this cross support in place. These are the rivets I'm using. Honestly, the sizing I don't actually know. I just bought a bulk batch of rivets that has various different sizes, and I threw them all in the same bin. So I honestly don't know what size they are. Clearly they got to be a 3/16 barrel, but that's the only thing I know about it. And now, just so you can get a better view here of what I'm doing with the pop rivet gun here, is, let's see if you can see good there. Yeah, I think that's it, got her. Alright, so pop rivet gun, Actually, give me a sec. That still has a piece of rivet in it. Okay, I guess I didn't actually have the record button hit when I did the other side, so it's just another tutorial on how to pop rivet. So basically, you have a pop rivet gun. You got a rivet. You put it in the end of the gun. You have to make sure you have the right size end for your rivet size, and that's about it. There, you put this part, the barrel, through the holes that you drilled, and then you squeeze it together and it pulls this ball up into this barrel, which forces it out, kind of mushrooms it out, and that's what causes your clamping force. So we're going to do that. We're going to shove this down in these holes that we just drilled. Okay, now we don't want to rivet the leg to the frame, so we do have to make sure we lift this up like that and kind of give it a bit of a support, and then squeeze the handle as tight as you can, and basically that's just pulling that ball up. Okay, and then you open up the handle all the way again and it falls back down, grabs another bite onto that rivet, squeeze it as tight as you can, do it again until you feel that like it's created enough clamping force to hold what you're trying to rivet together. Right now, if you have a good set of rivet gun here, this would actually bite this rivet really low down, and when it's fully clamped as hard as it can go, it'll actually break. Now, I had a good set that did that. These ones do not. If they break it a long ways up, because they actually bite higher up on the rivet stem. So I can actually do that. But so what I'm going to do is, now that I feel it's nice and tight, I'm just going to bend it back and forth, and it breaks it pretty close to the rivet when I do that, just kind of like that. And sometimes you end up with a bit of a sharp edge, so all you do is take your file and just file that down a wee bit. Just make it nice and smooth so it doesn't cut you, or scratch something in your trailer, or whatever. Just make it nice and smooth, just like that. That's all it takes. Very little time at all. And if I lift this up and show you, so I'll lift these legs up now. So now the legs are basically in form, with the exception that we don't have the cross bracing. So this is what you'll see when a rivet is done well, is you can see how it's mushroomed out. You can no longer pull this thicker portion through the smaller hole. So drilling the right size hole for the barrel size of your rivet is very important, because if you drill it too big, it'll never mushroom out far enough to prevent it from being pulled back through, right? So that's that. Now, for the cross supports, you can see this likes to move side to side quite a bit and fairly easy. If you're really gentle with them, you'd be okay. But, I'm not gentle with stuff. Most people aren't. So put in these cross supports, and that really stiffens that up side to side. And that's that. Now, so as you know, like the rivet is mushroomed out. It's not going to fit through the holes that we drilled down here, because these are the same holes as what we need for the barrel. So what we need to do is drill these holes slightly larger so that those rivets can just slide down inside there. And by doing that, that allows the legs to sit flush up against the frame of the... Okay, so my camera keeps getting shutting off because it's overheating in the sun. But what I've done is I've drilled the holes bigger as I drop this down on the frame. In the frame here for the rivets to go through, the mushroomed outside of the rivets. And so now you can see like this would normally sat up like this, basically, if we didn't have those holes. It's not much, but it does sit up, right? And when we put in the brackets up on this end, farther up here, then it's going to sit up even more, right? So by putting those holes in, you can see the rivets fit down inside, and it goes right down nice and smooth, nice and level. This side's still really tight, but it does go down nice and level, and it's nice and level all the way around, right? So, and depending on how much the rivet actually mushrooms out, depends on how big you need to make those holes. This one here I was able to make, well, I used a 1/4 eventually, and that made the rivet slide in very easy. I used a size smaller than that. I forget which one it was. And the rivet fit into the hole, but it was tight. Kind of like this side is tight, but this is a larger bit yet than the 1/4. So I don't remember what it is, but it's a bit larger than the 1/4 for that one to fit in there. So, you know, you just be flexible on your drills and be prepared to try various sizes. So now all we got to do is put in the cross bracing, and we're done. So the process for that on this part up here is basically the same as what we just did here. And then when we put the brace down here, it is actually easier. All it is, you're drilling a hole straight through, just the size of the rivet that you're using, and then pop rivet that together, and that's it. So I'm gonna get that done, and then we'll be back. So this is panel number 2 done. There it is, all in its glory. It's sitting nice and flush all the way along, you know, both sides. Sits nice and flush. Same process for these rivets here as down here. Drill right through the frame with your pilot and your rivet hole, and then all you got to do is size them up for the bow of the rivet. This is just straight up, size it to your rivet size, and then rivet that together. This one end is still nice and tight, which I actually like, because it will help keep the leg from just opening up randomly as you're carrying it around or whatever. And then this is the back side of the legs with the bracing. All looks good. And then, you know, your hole for your front rivet and your leg farther down rivet to fit through both of these. And that is it. Let me see if I can stand this up by hand. Obviously you want to get all the aluminum shavings out of the back side of the panel before putting it into service, or even just putting it into your RV. See if I can do this one-handed. Without dropping the panel and destroying it. There we go. Look at that, one-handed operation, if you really want it to be. Okay, so there you go. There's the panel number 2, all standing in its glory, sitting on the base really well. You know, that's how it looks. So there's panel 1 over there on the ground, panel 2 right here, and then I got to do panel 3. So panel 3 will be quick and easy put together. I'm not going to film it because you know how to do one, you know how to do them all. And then the only difference would be is the Noma panel here that's in behind that Renogy panel there. Obviously, because it's different dimensions, it's going to take me longer to do, because I have to rework all of the dimensions to build the leg for that one. You know, I don't know, I'll do that whenever here. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do it before our next trip out here, but whatever, it's prop it up on a log or something. But that's it. So I'm gonna get on to doing the 3rd one, and you know, it's neat. It works good. It's gonna be able to, or make it easier for me to keep the panels mobile. It's gonna make it easier to chase the sun throughout the horizon. I can easily change angles again, because like, look at that. We just put the leg more upright, and now the panel is at a steeper angle. So, you know, we can easily change the angle within, I don't know what it is, probably, you know, a good 5 to 10 degrees anyways. And that's about her, man. Like, it's great. If you like this video, hit the oh man, Oh, so hot. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications when I make other videos, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. Other than that, have a great time camping, and we'll see you next time.